Cool. So yeah, we've kind of hit a point now where a lot of the creative process is kind of taking shape or getting close to its final form. Obviously, there's no end to how many times you can revisit certain melodic elements or yeah, structure or bass sounds in a track. And I mean, typically, me and Tom would probably revisit things, 4, 5, 6 times and just keep resampling. But in the kind of interest of making this a concise and easy to follow um, sort of guide, we're yeah, let's imagine this is kind of where we want to be with the creative process. Clearly, the first, I would say, 64 bars of a drop is sounding pretty good. And obviously, at the moment, we've just got pretty much a copy and pasted sort of middle breakdown and second drop. So perhaps we can firstly have a look at the second drop and see what kind of variation we can create. And it's not a hard and fast rule that you have to create a different second drop to the first drop, but we always like to add at least something in there, whether it be a simple sound or a new hook or a new arrangement or a new melody, just to kind of keep it interesting and keep it moving. And again, in the interest of kind of telling a story, you obviously want it to keep progressing. So I think maybe because we've got so much happening in the first drop already with the resampling, it could be quite cool just to add a new hook in to the second drop and strip it back a little bit. Yeah, sometimes it's quite nice if you've got kind of a big crescendo in the first drop, which we've got here, just to strip it back and roll it out for the second drop. We'll add a new element in. It's kind of nice for DJs, if you do get as far as mixing the second drop. I know it's quite rare these days, but yeah, I think let's have a go with that first. So maybe what we can do is have a go at creating a nice new main hook or sort of lead sound for the second drop. And just as a reminder of what the melody sounds like, I'm just going to run it very quickly. Cool. So yeah, let's have a go at creating something for the second drop. So I'm just going to create a little MIDI clip here to get started. I'm probably going to go to our old friend Serum to see what we can do. Remember, if this is going to be the right key, but we can always move it around afterwards. And typically with this sort of stuff, as you've probably seen throughout, we don't do a whole load of really advanced sound design techniques in sort of the synth itself. A lot of our sound comes from resampling. So I think, yeah, we'll have a go at sort of getting a bass sound down with the right kind of movement, and then we'll just see if we can resample it into something cool. So let's do that. So we'll see what we can do in Serum. And I've kind of already got an idea of the kind of sound that I want to create. Kind of a nice, kind of like zippy synth that could be maybe turn into a little riff. So yeah, we'll turn both oscillators on, and we'll just get something that's got a bit of movement in it. So why don't we try subby saw and maybe like a Reese sound. I think there actually is a Reese. Yeah, there is actually a Reese wavetable in Serum. So it's gonna sound really basic and horrible. Let's move it down maybe. So yeah, I guess what we're going for is a bit of movement, basically, that a sound with a bit of movement that we can basically resample. So yeah, we'll go with this. We'll at least add some unison to make it sound a bit wider. That sounds a bit better. And yeah, let's just straight away try and create something with some movement. So obviously you normally get that through filters and automation. So let's just straight away add a low pass filter. And then we can just draw something in on the LFO, filters. So I'm just gonna straight away add that. And already you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Tell you what, let's go for a couple of little shark fins. Maybe add some curve on there. And what speed are we on? You're on 1. Maybe let's just make those a little bit more elongated and spaced out. Cool. To be honest, you could even just stop there. But let's at least get some movement going on here on the wavetable positions. Let me slow that down a little bit. We'll do the same on here as well. That's getting a nice little bit of panning effect actually going there. What else can we do? So, to be honest, that's probably okay. I'm just going to duplicate that now and just bounce that to audio. And I tend to do this when I do like a process of resampling. I tend to duplicate the channel and flatten the next channel, just because sometimes you can get carried away, and it's always nice to be able to go back a step. Whereas if you obviously commit the channel that you've created the original patch in, and you go too far and then it ends up being a bit of a mess, then you obviously can't revert back to what you had before. So yeah, it depends. I mean, obviously this is a brand new MacBook with plenty of processing power, so it can handle having a few channels going at the same time. So I'm just going to flatten that. This is our bass sound. And then let's say what, let's maybe pitch it up a little bit, or maybe a whole octave actually. Cool. Just turn it up a little bit as well. Cool. So we've kind of got the bass sound that we want. Just going to play that in context. You can hear kind of already where this is going. Just going to turn it up a bit more. In fact, actually, and this is exactly why it could be cool to actually get a bit more high end in there. This is exactly why I wanted to keep the same patch, so we could go back and make changes. That's a good demonstration that I didn't actually intend. Let's just put more filter on it. Cool. I'll make it mono as well. There we go. Alright, let's try that again. Delete this one. Just quickly freeze that. And yeah, most likely I'll chop this up and move it around as well a little bit, or maybe even repitch it to create a new melody or riff. So let's flatten that, and we'll just do what we did before. We'll just turn it up a little bit, and just solo this, and let's just pitch it up one semitone. So when you're on a sample or an audio file on Ableton, just a handy shortcut. If you go to the pitch wheel, if you press shift and press arrow up, it actually just jumps a whole octave up or down depending on which direction you go. There we go. Okay, cool. So let's start manipulating this sound and see what we can do. Yeah, we'll see what we can do with this sound now, just to create a new hook. So straight away I'm just going to stick an EQ on it. Just to get rid of any nasty unwanted low end that we don't need. And then let's start making it sound a bit more crusty and just have a bit more attitude basically. So let's use Saturn. Another FabFilter plugin. I'm pretty sure it's a new version of this actually. Probably need to upgrade at some point. So yeah, we're just focusing on the mids and the highs really. This isn't a bass sound, so let's just add a couple of channels in there, or a couple of bands in there I should say. And I really like this rectify algorithm. It's really aggressive. It sounds really cool. We'll just add a little bit of that to the high end as well, but probably filter a bit of the really high end out. So that sounds really cool. And let's saturate it a bit. And again, there's no kind of fixed recipe for this. It's just after a while of kind of using your kind of plug-in toolbox, you kind of know what things sound good, and then you can always change the order. I think we've shown in previous sort of sections of this course how you can just move things around in a plug-in chain and get different sort of sounds and textures from it. Cool. That's sounding pretty fat. There is probably a little bit too much high end in here, so I'm just gonna tell you what, I'm just gonna add a filter. Maybe just actually we'll do this afterwards when I chop it up, but we'll just move it down for now, just to get rid of some of that really harsh top end. And then let's tell you what, let's keep building this up. with some distortion. Let's go for Devastator. Still waiting for output to update thermal. I'll probably be drawn for thermal, but Devastator's a great plugin as well. Or Devastor, I think it's called. Let's just turn that down a little bit. To be fair, we're getting quite a lot of gain here, so this is going to reduce this a bit. Cool, we're getting closer to the idea of what I had in my head. And maybe just make sure nothing has been added in from all these plugins. You can see already, some of these you have to be careful with how you kind of use these plugins because they can add in a lot of low end in the end, especially if they're not kind of multi-band. So I'm just going to put another safety EQ in there, and then let's just make it sound a bit more spacey and atmospheric. Let's go for a reverb. Just gonna take the low cut up. Oh, that sounds nice. Let's go for something a bit more funky. Yeah, that's sounding cool. Maybe just want to take a little bit of those mids out. Oh, just realised I'm playing two at the same time. Probably hasn't helped. Yeah, that sounded much better. Yeah, accidentally was playing two at the same time. Cool. So I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. I think we can go and create a hook with that and maybe start arranging this second drop. So straight away I'm hearing what we could do here is actually, firstly I'm just going to chop this, neaten it up a little bit, just so we don't get any weird clicks. Make a little fade on as well. I think we could probably pitch this second one up as well. Yeah, okay. So what I've done there is just literally pitch it up one semitone just to get a bit of variation in the melody as well, and we can continue to do that as well as we arrange this. But what I'm thinking is it might be quite cool to introduce this element before the drop. So sometimes there's a kind of a brute force, not a brute force, but like a kind of a sudden new element change can be quite cool. But because this track's quite progressive and yeah, I don't know, the way it flows just feels like having something slowly introduced and then kind of morphing over time is a better way to approach it. So we've got this breakdown, which is, I think, pretty much empty apart from the vocal. I've been chasing the moon and the stars, 'cause I've been yeah, so I think it could be quite cool to introduce this sound, this new sound we just made, in the breakdown. So let's do that, and we can probably just slap this in maybe let's go every 4 bars. And then what we'll do is we'll just automate it so it kind of gradually builds up. We've got the filter already here, so let's just slap that on. And see what that sounds like. Could even be cool to just have one of them playing. And then just, yeah, we can change it in the drop itself as well. This might sound terrible, but it's all about experimentation as the kind of theme's been so far. So I've just done a real basic kind of step ladder automation there just to make it get slightly more unfiltered as it kind of progresses towards the drops. Let's see what that sounds like in context. I've been chasing the moon and the stars.
'Cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me.
I think that sounds cool, but I think that we could probably automate the reverb as well. So it just gets a bit more dramatic as well as it builds up. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll do a similar approach. In fact, we could probably, no, we won't copy and paste the automation. We'll do it by hand. Let's see what that sounds like.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars. 'Cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me.
Thinking there as well, we could probably get another filter in and just maybe make that last one a bit thinner. Let's bandpass it. So we'll just need to automate this bit, the on off. We'll just make sure those are all off and see what that sounds like. It might sound a bit weird, but we'll find out. We can maybe switch to a high pass instead of a low pass.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars. 'Cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and
Yes, we probably need to have a bit more. Let's just move the band a little bit. See what that last one sounds like. Cool, so we might just need to put a little bit of movement on there as well. Again, we're just experimenting, just making sure we can get a cool sound going. Yeah, maybe something like that.
I wish you'd come and find me.
Just add a bit of drive.
I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool. Cool, so let's just quickly make sure that reverb's in the right place as well on the drop. Getting lost in frequency automation here. I'm just going to delete all of those and make sure I'm actually using the right one. Cool. And here it might be quite cool to follow up with another lower note. Let's see. Yeah, let's pitch this one down. Just gone down a fifth there. Yeah, cool. So a nice little riff building there. Let's tell you what, let's bring some more because this breakdown's very sparse at the moment. Let's just bring some of the pads back in, I think. So we've got some here, I think. Are these playing? Yeah, very quiet.
'Cause I've been trying to be where you are.
Cool, we should probably bring some of these back in. And let's just see. Oh, they are. Yeah, let's bring some of these back in. Okay, we're going to have to duplicate this because this is arranged a bit weird. That's no problem. And let's take it from here. Cool. So what I'm thinking here is we've already got this sort of elongated, more brass horn section sound going. But I really like those filter calls that we had in the intro, so I'm just going to bring those back in.
been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard?
What I'm doing here is, rather than having that sort of really rapid sweep of the filter on here, I'm just gonna mute them a little bit, just so they're kind of more of a background element.
Cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool, so I sound a bit more filled out now, so let's just see how that rolls in. Actually, one thing I'm going to do as well is just make sure this second bass is lined up with this first one in terms of being the same melody. So I think we might have made changes and not duplicate them across, so I'm just going to play that. Obviously this is way too loud at the moment, just going to turn that down. Let's put this in a group, call this group second drop hook. Just call this breakdown chords. Cool. All right. I just need to delete this as well so it doesn't play double in the intro. Okay, cool. Let's just run that maybe, just before the breakdown. We'll listen to the breakdown, we'll listen to it into the second drop, and then we can think about how we can, with that new hook, just kind of keep that going through the drop and see what happens.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars. Cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool. I think this probably, we can space out this riff a bit more. Let's just put it here. In fact, let's space it out even more. Can probably go one step further. Yeah, that sounds better. We'll just duplicate those across. Cool. Okay. I'm just going to turn this down a little bit as well. So let's have a listen. So one thing we could do is, and this is what I mean, this is why initially I kind of laid out the structure, because you can always take things away and add new things in. I think because we've already had this kind of chord progression, and actually the resampled stuff's really cool, and now we've got this new hook, we could figure out a way to kind of make the two interplay with each other. So yeah, this is a really, really cool sound, and I think this could kind of be a cool response type situation with the new hook. So let's do that. Let's put this in and see how we can make the two kind of work together. So we just, for now, we'll just play the two as they are and see if that already kind of works, but we'll probably have to move some stuff around. Yeah, so they're actually hitting pretty much the same point at the moment. So let's just create a new channel and move some of this down so we can start moving it around a little bit. So that actually sounds quite cool. Let's just get rid of this one quickly so we can listen to the two. Let's move it along a little bit more. I'm just going to close these as well so we can actually see both. Probably make it a bit easier to see what we're doing. Cool. I'm just going to listen to the whole thing now. Yeah, it's just sounding cool. I'm just going to turn it down a bit so they're a bit more balanced. Maybe just give this one a little nudge actually back the other way. Let's see. Let's just get a bit more fine detail. And then we've got this other one here. We might not actually need it, to be fair. Let's put it in just to see what it sounds like. Yeah, I reckon we don't actually need that one. We'll leave that one for now. So the new hook for the second drop's pretty much going to be these 4 or these 5 bits. I'm just going to get rid of this top one. And then if we want as well, let's just make this move around even more actually. And we can probably even try something with panning as well. Auto pan. Let's see if they got any cool. This might sound a bit crazy. I'm just going to turn this off for now. I think that sounds really cool actually. And then we might not need the filter to be fair, but we'll try. As we're here actually as well, let's put this on here just to see if that sounds cool. Yeah, I like how that's sounding. Maybe let's just take the amount down. Actually sounds quite cool after the reverb, I think. Yeah, I think that's sounding really cool. So I was just quickly talk what I was kind of looking for there. Because we added this auto pan onto this sound here, and it kind of, obviously, it was kind of dry in inverted commas in the first drop. So, you know, again, with the idea of progressing things a bit more, introducing new effects, and just to make sure we are doing that, actually, can be a cool way to go about it. Actually, this is a new channel, so it should be fine. So yeah, what I've done is just add the this chopper preset on the auto pan just to kind of give it a bit more sonic interest. But I thought also it could sound quite cool in this element we just created, which I think it does. So I've added both, kind of makes them feel a bit more coherent as well, because they're kind of both moving the same way. Even I've slowed the rate of the auto pan on the new sound we've created, kind of still makes them feel like they fit together as a little family as well. So yeah, I was just kind of playing around with the parameters to see what sounded good to the ear. And this is something I'd recommend. It's just, yeah, just move things around. Even if you don't necessarily know what the knob even does, just move things around a bit. Obviously, make sure you know where you started at. But yeah, move things around until it sounds cool, basically. It's simple but effective advice. So yeah, we've got these two new things kind of bouncing off each other now. What we might do as well is just quickly reduce the reverb amount here. It does sound cool with the tail, but I think it bleeds a little bit too much into the next sort of the next beats afterwards. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. Cool. So I think we've got a nice element here. We've got two things kind of interplaying. Again, adding interest, and that's running for the first 16 bars. So if we think about the next 16 bars, we've obviously got nothing at the moment because we deleted everything out. So as a kind of first port of call, I might just bring back the original second 32 in here. Hadn't turned off. I was wondering what was happening there. So I think this could sound quite cool. Yeah, I think in this instance, I would probably just keep this here and not try and go too crazy. But something we can probably look at as well is just cranking the bass. Sounds really cheesy, but cranking the bass up a little bit more, just in terms of its kind of distortion and grit. Again, just as a new texture and something new for the listener's ear. So what I might quickly do is just make sure I've got the right channels. Cool. So I'm just going to take these ones, same process. In fact, the sub can probably, actually no, let's do it. Let's just make a new channel. It's just easier. So yeah, what I'm going to do here is just basically resample the bass, but what we'll do is we'll split the frequency so we can still maintain. Sometimes when you resample bass sounds, you can lose a lot of the sub, but we'll look at splitting the frequencies, sort of maintaining as much of a pure sine sub as we can, and then just kind of making sure we're just affecting the mids and the tops just to add a new layer to it. You can do this a few different ways. I tend to kind of use effects racks to do this, because I think you kind of get a bit more control, but you can also just layer things on top as well, but it can be harder to mix sometimes. So I'm just going to do this, and we'll freeze this as well. So I don't think we're going to change the map. Oh, meant to flatten it, not freeze it. Yeah, we'll do it that way. I can show some cool little shortcuts to do that as well. So I'll flatten it this time, not unfreeze it. So we've just got a nice audio file. And what we'll do is we will just add a multi-band. And then with effects on Ableton, if you press Command G on Mac, I think it must be Control G on Windows, you can create an effects rack. And then what you can do here is basically duplicate chains. And then what we'll do is we'll call this one mid, call this one sub. And because we've already put the multi-band on there, we'll just use it to split frequencies. So for the mid, we'll just turn the sub down, and let's maybe put the cut at 100 hertz. And then we'll just do the same for the sub. We'll just put 100 hertz and then turn everything else off, basically. So then basically you're left with pretty much a pure sine wave for the sub and just the mids. In fact, we'll put the cut a little bit higher. Let's go back to 120. But yeah, this way you can just basically add as many effects as you can on the kind of, as you want to on the mid without affecting the sub, so you made sure you maintain that nice sub frequency, so it's hitting all the right spots when you play it out in a club. So let's just focus on the mid. And we'll go back to our friend Devastor 2. We'll make sure it's actually in the chain. And yeah, let's just scrub through some presets and see what we can find, and we can go from there. So I'm just going to set a little loop up as well. gone too intense. Okay, I'll tell you what, we'll take a different approach. Let's see if we've got... I don't even have it, actually. Let's make sure. So basically, I've changed computer recently, so not all of my plugins have come across because I'm on an M1 Mac now, so I've been in kind of compatibility hell for the last few weeks trying to get everything working, but I think this should work, hopefully. If not, we'll persevere with Devastor. Okay, looks... No, it's asking me to authorize. Hang on. Yeah, okay. We're gonna skip this. Let's... Oh. No, let's get rid of this. Okay. Let's go back to Devastor. Just gonna have a quick flick through. Yeah, I think we'll go Devastor. We also do use hardware as well for distortion. We've both got analog heat Mark IIs, which are great. But you won't be able to see what I'm doing, so let's use the plugin. Okay, that's sounding quite nice actually. So we can drive that a bit more. Okay, so I'm just messing around with some parameters now, automating some stuff just to create a bit more movement. So I just driving the preamp gain. Sounds pretty cool. Let's just make sure we're following the modulation of the sound as well. We'll just make sure we return home to a sensible number, which I think was 40 on here. So that sounds pretty cool. Really getting some aggressive movement in there. We can do the same here. Let's just have a listen to that with the drums, maybe. Yeah, that sounded nice. Really like where that's heading. Maybe just bring this down over time as well. We'll just play that with the new elements as well, just to make sure it's all making sense. In fact, let's play everything at the same time. Of course, it helps if I do play full bass sound. So we might have to do here. Just add a bit more gain as well. Just so we can actually hear what's going on. Cool. So we can take that automation that we've just added, just bring that across to here. Maybe put a slow ramp on that nice pitch bendy part. Yeah, that sounds cool. I think then we should be, yeah, that will work. Cool. So subtle, it's a bit subtle, but I think in the grand context of the kind of, I keep using the word story, but in the grand context of the story, just adding and changing enough elements at a time that it still remains interesting to the listener's ears, really the goal. And also gives DJs a reason to play the second drop as well. So let's make sure more people are playing more tracks out. I think it's probably a healthy thing to do. Also, so kind of inadvertently, but again, nice little happy accident. What we've got happening now is because there's more distortion being automated on the bass, and we've kind of got these distorted synth sounds, it almost creates a nice bed for them, so they don't sound, because I think before they were maybe poking out a little bit too much. I think we still need to turn them down, but they were kind of really poking out, which can sound quite cool. But yeah, it just kind of makes them feel more at home with what's going on. So I'm just going to turn them down a little bit. Yeah, and that's a complete happy accident, but it just shows the power of experimenting and just moving things around, and then just, yeah, you'll stumble across this stuff more often than not. I think what could be quite cool here as well is to also automate some reverb. I'm going to do something weird as well and put the reverb before the distortion. Jack Workforce actually put me onto this trick of actually driving reverb through a distortion. You can get some really cool sounds. So let's just see if that sounds any good. Just making sure I put it on the right one. Yeah, so let's turn it down a bit, and let's just turn the low cut up. So we're getting some clicks. So what we can do afterwards is kind of rebounce this down again and just add fades and just get rid of those clicks, because they will get annoying after a while. But yeah, we'll do that afterwards. You can hear really the effect of the reverb being driven through the distortion where things are ramping up, and it sounds really cool. Kind of gives it this kind of weird boxy but kind of, yeah, dramatic sound. Let's continue with this. I think we're in a nice space here. Let's continue with experimenting with effects, and I think what could be quite cool, make sure I'm using the right one. I think this one has a nice kind of phase flange mode on it. Yeah, it does. Let's try the flanger. Oh, where is it? There we go. So this is another free plugin from Valhalla. I promise I don't work for Valhalla, but they do loads of really good plugins, and some of them are free. And what I'm gonna do is just put one EQ on the end, just to make sure we're not getting any crazy clashing frequencies. Let's put it at 100. And we'll bring this back in. Wow, that's really, really crazy. Let's change the mode so we can see what some of the other stuff is doing. Cool. Yeah, I think maybe a little bit more subtle. Let's make this a bit more subtle. Tell you what, let's get rid of some of these clicks as well. Okay, we have to freeze. That's actually made it worse. Let's freeze this. We'll duplicate and freeze, just so we can come back if we need to. Yeah, just want to chop some of these. Clicks out. Just because, yeah, you'll definitely notice those in the mix. I'll just flatten that. better. So yeah, this is a really not fun part of making music, but completely necessary part of the process. It's a big click there, we might struggle to... Let's see, let's just add a little fade on both ends. Probably subtle enough. Again, just identifying any clicks in there. And that's a full loop. So we can just take that, what we've done there, and then we'll tell you what, we'll just delete this. Copy that across. At least for 32, and then maybe we can go back to the regular bass line just to roll things out at the end. It's probably what I'm thinking. So we can just take that, drop that there, get rid of this, see how that sounds. Yeah, we're getting close there. So I think in terms of the kind of extra creative part for the second drop, we're pretty much there now. I think all that's really left to do, and we'll kind of do this in the next section, is balance things out kind of sound level wise, and yeah, kind of give it a mix really. But I think in terms of structure, it's almost there, or it's pretty much there. And yeah, in terms of, I think we've added enough variation. But let me just play it from the breakdown just so we can review what we've done.
I've been chasing the moon and the stars, 'cause I've been trying to be where you are. Could it be that I'm searching too hard? I wish you'd come and find me. Won't you come and find me?
Cool. So yeah, the next section, we're basically going to look at finishing the track. So yeah, like I said, a bit of mixing, final arrangement, and then yeah, we'll have a quick go at mastering too. But yeah, we'll see you in the next bit.